Hello, and welcome to a podcast where we explore the experiences of college students who had been attending a small liberal arts college in the Midwest when the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world. I have two people ready to give their experiences, Hunter and Ian.
I've been going crazy, locked up in my room, Netflix gon' save me. Quarantine my house, ain't risking my safety. Isolated from the world, but shit made me. We all gone a little crazy, crazy. Yeah.
When the pandemic started, we were all in college dorm rooms. How easily did you guys find your way back home?
I was actually because when we were leaving, we had like an extra long spring break, right? So I was on a trip to like a cabin up in Minnesota with some friends and some guys from the team, and we were up there when we finally got the call on that Saturday that we got the email saying that, hey, school's canceled. You gotta get your stuff, get it out of here, go home, basically. So that just ruined the whole weekend, and basically I drove 6 hours from Minnesota down to Beloit, packed all my stuff up in my truck over the course of 2 days, and then I just left. Emptied out my room, drove 30 hours back to Oregon, and then I was back home.
Was it a hassle for you?
Well, I think kind of what, before we even got the email, the general consensus among me and my friends was that things aren't looking so good for the school. Like, it doesn't look like we could all pretty much tell that there wasn't going to be a continuation of the school year. So I didn't feel super, bombarded with new information, or I didn't feel super like cut off from the school. But we all and that's because I think at least people I was with kind of felt it coming. So it was really easy to just kind of pack my stuff up and go, because you could feel it coming in a sense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess so. The circumstances of Hunter and I, right? So that the weekend before we got the email started our spring break, right? So most people had left campus. I'd say about like not many people were left. It was like us and baseball, and that was pretty much it. And then a handful of kind of international kids and kids who couldn't get home. I know you were on campus too, Will.
Mm-hmm.
But campus was pretty empty. So we had a game the first Sunday of our spring break. That was our only home game we got in. And then Tuesday we had a game in Chicago. So that's right. That was on our spring break. So we're coming back. And the next day, I think we woke up to the email, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like, I woke up, saw the email that our spring break was extended and all athletic events were canceled. So it was like, I remember kind of getting together with some of the people on the team and being like, what do we do now? Because nobody like I didn't want to go home, but I decided I would go home for that extra week that we had. I mean, it was really weird to like be in the first like third of the lacrosse season, and then all of a sudden it's just put on hold. Like, we weren't allowed to hold any practices. We weren't allowed to do anything related to athletics. So all of a sudden we were all here for one reason. Like, our team was on campus to play lacrosse, and we were now on campus unable to do the one thing we were still on campus for. So
Was that frustrating?
I mean, that was just super weird. It was so bizarre that, like, because our week was so. I remember seeing the schedule for that week, and we were kind of busy. I mean, we had 3 games over those 9 days. We had practices all but one of the other days, and it was like, I just like I could have gone home. It's like I could have gone home right at the start. I could have had 2 weeks at home, but yeah.
I kind of remember that, and this is something I've thought about. So since so many people, I think this is kind of a benefit of being on the team and having to be on campus, was that when we got that email, we were already on campus and we hadn't left, because the school had said, hey, if you're already gone, we don't want you to come back to get your stuff. Stay where you are. We'll figure out something, we'll figure out some kind of system to get your stuff back to you, or to put it in a new room or something, some kind of storage system. And I kind of think a plus to being on campus was that I was already with all my stuff. I didn't have to worry about, okay, where is it now? Where is it going? Who do I got to talk to? Who do I got to deal with? I think that saved me a lot of, or saved me and all the other players at least a lot of possible stress that we could have had to deal with.
See, I had the opposite because I left to go home for that second week of what was supposed to be the extended spring break on that Saturday. So I packed up like a duffel bag. I brought my lacrosse equipment home because my high school team had offered to, like, I could come out and practice with them if I wanted to, and a couple of other like miscellaneous items. And I was driving home, and I live outside of Green Bay, so it's like a 3-hour drive from Beloit. And I just got north of Milwaukee, so 2 hours from school, and I look down at my phone and I see email from Beloit, and like the title is something like we've gone all online for the rest of the semester. As I'm driving home with less than a quarter of all of the stuff that I have, and it was just like that was a really frustrating time to get that email. So I had to come back down like the next weekend with my dad and feverishly pack everything up in 3 hours. Like that was also pretty stressful.
How did you guys handle classes all online? How was that transition?
Personally, it was something new. I've never really done an online class, where I know in some places that's something that's more typical. I personally wasn't a very big fan of the online classes, just because I'm the kind of person who likes to be in person. I think I comprehend and I learn better when I'm in front of someone who's telling me something, and I can ask them questions, and I don't have to, wait for someone else to stop. I mean, you do have to do that, but I found myself being distracted way easier because I can turn my camera off, or I can mute myself, so I'm not really in the same setting. It's almost like being in a different plane of existence, if that makes sense. I could be on my phone, and I could be laying in bed right now, and nobody would know. And sometimes that's what happened, but I think that was a contributing factor as to why I just didn't like it.
I personally, so I was in analytical chemistry, like, which is touted as one of the hardest chem courses at Beloit, and I handled it pretty well, but I just the timing of the class didn't change at all, so it was still like be in class at every day at 8:30, like every Monday through Friday, like, and that became so difficult when I was at home. I think it was just the combination of like, I'm not physically going anywhere, so I'm not taking my body to the science center. I can literally roll out of bed and go to class. And it was just like we had the exact same amount of work. Like the only thing that changed was instead of going to lab, we wrote up the pre-lab, which was graded way harsher. And then he just gave us data to use for like the lab analysis. So that became, I mean, it was still incredibly hard and the same degree of frustrating that AChem can be in person. But my motivation dropped significantly just because I think everybody hit that wall of like, wow, I'm just at my house now.